Today we're reacting to Mu X Dotask, if I pronounce his channel name right. And the video is called Why Japan Exploits These Girls a Dangerous Industry. Let's check it out.
This is Japan. This is also Japan.
Drop it.
I'll say this, I do want to experience going to the Muscle Girls bar. That is like a goal I have in life, is to go to the Muscle Girls bar. I generally want to go there. Generally do. I gotta experience this. I gotta see this in person. That's like, I want to say it's like a bucket list song. I gotta check off. Like, I generally do gotta go to the Muscle Girls bar. I generally do.
What a lot of people don't know is that Japan's nightlife can get pretty crazy sometimes. You got muscle mommy bars,
Yes, muscle mummies. Guys, into muscle mummies. I love muscle mummies.
men bars, a bar that's themed after the female anatomy, and a bar themed all around the American state of Texas, for some reason. But amongst all the bizarre gimmicky nightlife Japan has, there's one that sticks out the most because of how tame it is. They're called host clubs, a type of nightclub in Japan where you go to and pay just to hang out with the opposite gender. No, I'm being serious. And you might say, isn't that just a normal nightclub? And yeah, but at host clubs, you literally pay money just to sit there while someone of the opposite gender talks with you and gives you attention. And some people in Japan...
Okay, the thing about host clubs that I can understand is like, yeah, that's pretty much straightforward what it is. You pay to go sit down and talk with this person of the opposite gender. If you're a man, you go to hostess clubs and you sit down and talk to women and you buy them drinks and stuff. And if you're a woman, you go to the host clubs and sit down with men and you buy them drinks. I don't know how that started. I don't know like the history behind that, like how that became a thing. But then it also kind of reminds me now, since I've did like 2 videos on the Rent a Girlfriend, like the experience of being a Rent a Girlfriend in Japan. It's kind of, in a sense, like that in a way. Somewhat. It kind of reminds me a little bit, but you're not going on a official date with them because you're inside the club, the confinements of the club, so you can't really go outside. But it's just the idea of like you're pretty much paying for company. And with that being said, I mean, I know there's some, you could say, horror stories behind that. I know that years ago, that one lady who fell in love with a host guy, and yeah, if you heard that story, what happened to her. She, I believe she got, went to jail and stuff, and I think she's out now, but she almost, that guy almost was gone, so I know that sometimes people who get too deep in with the host clubs and hostess, it's like they kind of lose themselves,
and have spent crazy amounts of money to the point of ending up in debt just to go.
Yeah, that's like the yeah, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go into depth to meet a person, because generally this person's just doing their job. That's their job to be nice to you. That's their job to talk to you. And I think what happens is people tend to fall in love with the hostess or hosts at these clubs, and it's kind of like, thinking about going to a strip club. You shouldn't fall in love with the stripper. So that's how I say you shouldn't fall in love with the host or the hostess. They're just doing their job.
Go to these clubs and talk with their favorite worker there. And before you assume this is just another case of Japan being weirdly parasocial, just know that plenty of hosts and hostess clubs have been involved in criminal cases that range from emotional exploitation and debt trapping to straight up human trafficking and forced.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Okay, that reminds me of something. Okay, guys, I think I talked about this in my Toyoko Kids video. Go watch this show, Sins of Kojo, on Netflix. It's so good. Okay, when I talked about Toyoko Kids, I think, one of the characters, I believe, was a Toyoko kid. So, this is what happened, right? She met a guy who was a host, right? And she thought he was her friend. They thought they was probably gonna be lovers and all that. but the guy manipulated her and tricked her into going to AV. Pretty much what this guy was doing was he would pick on vulnerable girls that was from broken homes. Like he would strategically, you know, find them that would come to the club, right? And they would vent and rant and express all what's going on in their own life, and he would pretty much manipulate and take advantage of them and push them towards AV, And then at one point where her parents find out and they sued the production company that was selling her stuff, and she got blacklisted and fired. He ended up forcing her into prostitution. So yeah, this is serious stuff. I'm not saying every person that does as a host or a hostess does do that to people, like they manipulate people or nothing, but it's just some stuff you see in movies, TV shows, that's can happen so much in real life. That's some I believe that's really happening. It's very unfortunate, that people will prey on the weak and vulnerable and use that against them. And yeah, that's another thing I've seen in the show that happen. And the fact that host clubs in Tokyo force women to, yeah, that's basically what happened. That's basically what happened to her. He like pretty much manipulated her into going to first AV, because it was like, oh, if you loved me and all this, you would do this, do that. And then when that didn't work out, he forced her to do sex work, you know really selling her body and pushing her drugs. It's just crazy, man. But yeah, go check out Sensakuja. It's a really good show. I really hope they make more episodes, because it to me it ended off on a cliffhanger. But that's a really good J drama. So go check it out. But that's just comparison. What I've seen in the show, and now in the video, just in the beginning of the video, him mentioning that, just like, okay, it clicks.
Prostitution. For a business that's all about just sitting around and talking with each other, it is the furthest thing from clean. So,
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the people that go here, I'm not saying everyone is like that. I don't think every person that goes to host clubs or hostess clubs or mentally unstable or mentally ill, but I think some, not majority, but some are. And the people that work there, I guess they could sense and tell, and that's how they can manipulate people into doing their own bidding and doing stuff that really they wouldn't be doing otherwise. And they want to be coerced into doing, if that makes sense. Because you got this. Because the way I see it is that people who go to these things are lonely. They have no one to talk to. They have no friends. So the only outlet, the only way they can really express themselves is going somewhere where essentially you pay for someone to just talk to you, which you would be better off going to a therapist. But I guess a therapist wouldn't be as good, because you also need like the companionship aspect of it. Someone to like really tell you, okay, I feel for you. Telling you sweet things. It just feels like there's telling you sweet things, but yeah.
what's the deal, right? What are host clubs exactly, and how can a business that's centered around just hanging out lead to some pretty messed up stuff? And the answer to that is a lot more complicated than you think. But what isn't complicated is how you can get authentic snacks and food from Japan through the sponsor of today's video, Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. are a monthly snack box service that sends authentic Japanese snacks and food right to your
方からしたら僕たちは、商品なんですよ。ホストって何って言われたら大体こう夢を売る仕事ってみんな言うんですよ。
Hey, he's not right. I mean, he's not wrong with that. That's just how I see it too. It's just a business selling drinks to people. Telling people sweet things they want to hear. I agree. He's right upon that. It's just that's what the business is.
現実じゃない恋愛をするっていうの。
So, I know what you're thinking. Wait, so it's a type of nightclub where people just sit around and talk to each other while getting plastered? And yeah, that's basically it. Okay, not really, but the idea is almost there. Because you gotta know that Japan has kind of built an industry around non-explicit physical services like this for a very long time. A really good historical example of this is the geisha, something that you've probably seen in both a lot of Japanese media, as well as a crap ton of ads about traveling to Japan. Even if you've never cared for Japan in your life, you've definitely seen one of those commercials before. And the pop culture misunderstanding about geishas is that they were some kind of women of the night. The medieval Japanese
No, they were not like that. I don't believe geishas were that kind of women or did that kind of service. I think they were just high end professional women, and it costs. I'm not gonna lie. It if I from what I understand, it costs to get a geisha. As far as to perform for you and to have like one-on-one conversations, you're gonna pay a hefty price because some of them, yeah, especially if they're like a popular geisha, yeah, it's gonna cost you money. But yeah, I don't believe geishas were, you know, these like women of the night or something. I think they were just high end professional women that took years of education and training to get to the point where they are. And some of these women were talented and skillful, so I, I don't I don't believe that. Maybe there were some that did that, but I don't think it applies to every single one of them. You know, it's not. My one of my favorite movies, well, is Members of a Geisha, but I don't think that movie was really real per se. Like I don't think some of the stuff cool, but like some of it is like I don't think that's truly how majority to all geishas live.
equivalent of a prostitute. But geishas historically were more like hired entertainers. They would sing songs to whoever could afford them, they would do traditional dances and recite the popular poetry of the age. They were trained to be witty and hold engaging conversations with whatever samurai lord or rich merchant that hired them.
Yeah, because rich merchant or because to get a geisha you gotta have that bread. I'm not gonna lie to you. It costs, man. Like these women, you gotta be the boss to afford a geisha. You can't. It's not like you can't just be anybody, man. You have to have like some wealth to you. And then also the great thing is they could deny you. They could deny you your service. Even if you have money, they could deny you. So yeah, I mean they know their worth. So I don't believe that these women were like that. They were, like I said, maybe there was some, but that wouldn't apply to all. It didn't apply to all because I don't believe so. But yeah, they could deny you service even if you had money. If they don't like you, they would say, hey, I'm not going to perform for this guy. It is what it is. They know their worth.
I'm trying to say is Japan historically is not a stranger to the concept of paid social entertainment. So the idea of paying someone to have a conversation with you isn't really something new over there. And before someone thinks I'm saying that host clubs are the descendants of geisha, no, I'm just saying that their industries in terms of purpose are somewhat similar. Because host and hostess clubs kind of fulfill a specific niche that normal adult nighttime industries couldn't, which is to make you feel good emotionally. Imagine spending hundreds of dollars, not on physical pleasure, but emotional pleasure, where the geisha would sing and recite poetry and draw you in by being this refined figure of elegance and art. Host clubs draw you in by appealing to you as a person. They ply you with drinks, listen to your bad jokes, they touch you playfully, but never over the line of harassment. They tell you how you're absolutely beautiful and how they've never met a person as interesting as you before. And again, pretty much
Yo, bro, you know how many people those guys are telling that to women, or how many times those women are telling that to guys? I mean, hey, man, it is what it is.
all of this is non-sexual. The point of host and hostess clubs is the ambiance of intimacy rather than the act of it. And allegedly, I found this out from random comments from articles that talked about hostess clubs. AAA video essay research, I know, to rely on some random comments.
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
But they said that some of the people working at these clubs would even read out from the local newspapers about the going-ons of local Japanese politics or whatever news that their client is interested in. Not because they themselves are into it, but because it allows them to talk more deeply with their clients. But this isn't out of altruism or sincere affectionate care for the client though. Most hosts and hostesses in Japan make their money through tips and commissions based off of how much alcohol they sell. So they're really incentivized to give you good time because the longer you spend there and the more you spend there, the more they make. As Anne Allison said in her book, Night Work, Sexuality, Pleasure, and Corporate Masculinity in a Tokyo Hostess Club, she says, quote, "Instead of bending to the system, the man finds that the system accommodates him. The woman need not be cajoled, enticed, or consulted. She may simply be taken. The man thus becomes the taker, a position that begets power, masculinity, and pleasure." Now, this is said under the context of a hostess club where the employees are women and the clientele are majority working class salarymen. You know, dudes working dead-end office jobs who want to feel good about themselves as men.
Okay, speaking of salarymen, is that only applied to salarymen? Like, is that just like a typical stereotypical thing? I don't know. Like, so like, are salarymen the only type of men in Japan that would go to these type of things, or like this, just any man could just go? Because I don't know. I just feel like when you think of like hostess clubs, you would think like, oh, salarymen. You know, I guess like, you know, men in suits or something. I don't think like some regular guy off the street would care about going to a hostess club. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just like something like salarymen, men with kids and a wife, and he just trying to avoid going home, stuff like that, or divorced men. Yeah, I don't think it's like a regular guy, like a guy in his 20s or, you know, maybe his 30s. I just think this is like more like an older man type thing. I feel like this is like something for the older generation. Like, I don't think this is like a young man's type of thing, like kind of hangout. I just don't see, like, I mean, maybe only way I could see like a young guy going is because like maybe his coworkers or his boss force him to go. Like, this is like something they do after, like, on a Friday night after work. But like, I don't know, I just feel like this is something like older men do. And for women, I feel like, okay, for women, I feel like it's more so for younger women to go to host clubs. But for men, I think it's more so older men. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong that, you know, maybe there are some young men who go out their way to host clubs, hostess clubs. But I just every time when I think of like hostess clubs, I always think of like a middle-aged old man. I don't think like a man in his 20s or like 30s. You know, a single man. I think of like a middle-aged man, a married man, or a divorced man with kids. That's what I typically would think.
But you can easily say the same thing for host clubs where the genders are reversed, because the entire point of this industry is accommodation. Their objective is to appeal to your sense of masculinity or femininity and your desire to be, well, desired.
Good night, girl. I'll see you tomorrow.
And by hyping you up and reassuring you of who you are and what you are, you feel good about yourself and have a higher chance of spending more money and coming back more. But there is a bit of a paradox to host clubs. As the author Anne Allison says again in the same book, quote, "Here is one of the main principles and contradictions of the hostess club as well. Customers pay money to be reconfirmed in some way other than as salary workers or breadwinners, but can only receive this service if they pay money. Since you're the customer, you should be the one technically."
See this man right here? This is what I'm talking about. When I see a man like this. This is what I see going to like a hostess club. Like, I see men like this. When I think of hostess clubs, I think of men like this. I don't think of like a guy like that looks like me per se, like my age, going to a freaking hostess club. Cause why would any young man want to go to a hostess club? Maybe as a gag, maybe as a joke, cool, but like realistically, I just don't see it. I generally don't see it. I think that's like an older man type of thing. And when it comes to host clubs, I think it's younger women and Maybe older women too. Maybe older women too. Maybe housewives. They need their husband not giving them attention. I don't know.
In charge. But these hosts and hostesses make their money through drink sales and returning customers, which means that the better they are at charming you, the more money they make. In other words, their job is to create just enough emotional intimacy and fun to keep you coming back. So in a roundabout way, they give you the feeling of having the power in a relationship while still holding the real leverage themselves. Now, I'm not saying that the people working these host clubs are like giga-brained master manipulators. Chances
Like I said, if you're able to get someone to into the AV industry or sex work, chances are you are. But like I said, that rule doesn't apply to every single one of them. But some are, some are. Not gonna say every single host or hostess does that. Mostly it's just a hosting. I don't think hostess would, get men involved in AV. But host guys, the guys in the host clubs, some are. Not all of them, but some are. And that rule doesn't apply to everybody. But yeah.
are if you're old enough to go to a host club, you are a consenting adult and know what you're getting yourself into. In my opinion, host and hostess clubs are no different than donating to your favorite live streamer. It's just
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. It's parallel to that. It's parallel to that. The only the only difference is you get to actually see the person you're. See, the difference with that is you actually get to be in the same room as that person. See them face to face, physically touch them.
intimacy under post-capitalism. Pretentious way of saying paying for a parasocial relationship, I know, but I'm a video essayist, what are you gonna do? But even though host and hostess clubs by their nature are nothing sexual, that doesn't mean it's a super clean industry.
を買うっていうよりは時間を買っている感覚なんですよ。金的には10万弱。
1,000 a day? Why? Like, you gotta genuinely ask yourself, why would you spend that much money a day on host clubs? Like, what are these guys doing to you for you to spend that much kind of money?
ぐらい。
You spend about 5 to 7 bands a day. Where are y'all getting this money? I think I could understand where some of this money's coming from, because, but I'm gonna continue the video. I don't want to judge nobody, but it's just like an idea of like, why are you spending this kind of money? Like, I never thought in my life to spend this kind of money. It's just, this is insane.
だけ僕にこうお金を使ってあげたいかって思うか。
So chances are you can probably see the pitfalls of this sort of industry after just hearing about what they do there. Especially when you know how some people can get really attached. And you wouldn't be the first to think this, because the host industry in Japan is heavily regulated for something that isn't NSFW. Because the danger doesn't lie in anything physical, but rather financial. Because some of the people that go to host clubs can rack up an insane amount of debt. For example, in 2023, a woman in Japan by the name of Yu found herself 25 million yen in debt to a host club after being smitten with one of the male workers there. Yu was a divorced mother of 2, and while it's not...
Okay. Like I was saying, I was saying this about the men, being middle-aged, and now we got a woman. I don't think 41's middle age, but you know what I mean. It fits to the whole divorcee with kids. I get what she's a divorced woman. She got kids. She's stressed out. She needs to let loose. She needs someone to vent to. She needs someone to talk to. She needs some loving, And the place she went to had to be the Foes Club. Instead of like putting ourselves out there and meeting a man that she could see herself being with, she decided to go, the host club right, and that's when things, I guess, could turn to a dark turn. You know what I mean? It's like again, it just fits the bill. The whole, again, she's a divorced woman. She got kids. She's lonely. She's stressed out. She just needs someone to talk to. She's some loving, some TLC, and she went to a host club, and she's now in debt.
Mentioned in the article how long ago her divorce was before getting entangled with host clubs, it's safe to assume that it probably played a huge part into her obsession of visiting host clubs and wanting the attention of younger men. Because you don't just walk away.
She wanted a younger man. I mean, listen, I mean, like I said, I mean, is she really okay? If she wanted attention from younger, she could put herself out there. I mean, come on, there's like some young guy, maybe like 22, 24, and they'll, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's like hag max. I've heard about this thing called hag maxing. Oh my goodness. Like, I mean, some guys they want a mommy per se, you know what I mean? So I don't know if there's some guys like that in Japan or not. I don't live in Japan to know, like, if guys want to hag. If guys want to hack max or looking for or looking for a mommy per se, but it is what it is. I mean, but she went the host club way, so I mean, you're not really gonna find love there per se. You're just gonna, like, yeah.
Away from the lengthy process of getting a divorce without having some quarter-life crisis. The dude that she was seeing constantly showered her with praises and even gifts. He played the sounds that you wanted to hear. He made her feel like the world, and in turn, you wanted more. But eventually, her money ran out, and she had a 25 million yen bar tab to pay. So the host that she was seeing conveniently recommended that she become a woman of the night to pay.
That is the exact same thing happened in the Senzakujo. Guys, go watch Senzakujo. Great show on Netflix. That's exactly what happened to that girl. She was in debt, and first off, he brought her to do AV, from AV to becoming a woman of the night, and then pushing her drugs, and then, yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but that is exactly what happened to her. And in the entire show, I felt so sorry for her. Like, out of all the characters in the show that it portrayed, her story hit me harder than anyone else's, because, like, I was, like, really feeling sorry for this girl, man. Like, I really, like, I was really emotionally attached to her character. Cause, like, yo, like, I just wish somebody could have helped her, like, really, like. And when I watched that show, when I first saw the guy, I was like, yo, this guy is no good. I know he's not no good. I know. It's something about him. I was like, there's something about this guy. It's just, I can't, it's like, I can't agree with him. Like, it's something, like, my spirit just it's not agree with this guy. Like, this guy is shady. Like, she came to this guy, went to the club. It's like, and she talked to this guy. I just, no. And then kind of found out I was right. I was right with the guy. He was shady. He was a shady man. And I'm glad he got his due diligence in the end. But yeah, I mean, that's, her story was really, like, lit. I felt the most emotionally, like, attached, because I just felt sorry for her. I genuinely do. Out of all the characters that was portrayed. Also, I think Shinjuku Field Hospital, it's been a while, but I think there was, like, a few episodes or talk about host clubs too. I think there was a host club's character. I can't remember. It's been a while. I probably have to go back and rewatch Shinjuku Field Hospital. But there were I think episode or two about host clubs, like a host club character. Go check out Shinjuku Field Hospital. I think that and Senzakujo are really good J dramas that, it touches on the nightlife in Japan. Like it touches on Kubu. I can't pronounce it. It's Kubu. Let's call it Kubu. That part of Tokyo, Kubu. Uh, you know, well, Shinjuku Field Hospital is inside of Kubu. Like the back alley hospital is the heart of Kubu. So a lot of stuff is happening around that area. But since Kujo, it has like characters that are similar to what's being said in this video. So that's why I recommend that. So I recommend those two shows for. Now, if you're into okay, Shinjuku Field Hospital is sub. So if you like sub shows, sub TV shows, I recommend it. But Shinjuku is dub too. So I don't know if some of you guys prefer sub or dub. Me, it doesn't really matter. But those are two good J dramas. Definitely check those out. Now, if you have some J dramas that you want to recommend to me, let me know, and I'll probably watch it on my own time. I love watching J dramas and K dramas, so recommend me some good K dramas, J dramas. But I don't want to go off like on a tangent or say, I'm just trying to connect the pieces as far as like I've seen this in movies and TV shows, and that's just my reference. I'm just making a reference of what I saw in TVs and movie shows, and this, what you see in media can also be part of reality, could be part of somebody's life.
Pay off her debt. And so she did, and was trafficked not just around Japan, but also to places like Hong Kong and Macau.
She went all the way there? Jeez. So, like, was he her pimp? Because the guy in Shizukuja became her pimp at that point, so I'm assuming he became her pimp. Because how in the world did she go all the way to like Hong Kong and Macau? Like, got to be.
To pay off her debt that was intentionally ballooned by the club itself. And Yu, unfortunately, isn't the only one to suffer this. This is actually a really common tactic by the more sleazy host clubs in Japan, and there are plenty of cases where some women are intentionally debt-trapped by being encouraged to run up the price on their bar tabs, and when said woman obviously can't pay, they're quietly recommended by the host that they were seeing to become things like escorts or work at soaplands in order to pay off their debt. Add on the fact that some host and hostess clubs do have ties to criminal organizations means that it's not just one random scummy club that you had the Some host and hostess clubs do have ties to criminal organizations.
This the place. Kabukicho. I am butchering that. I need to pronounce this better, But this is the place. This is the place. This is where Shinjuku Field Hospital takes place at. Is in the heart of this part of Tokyo. Kabukicho. Kabukicho. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. Guys, I'm currently trying to learn Japanese. I'm currently right now trying to learn Japanese. I said this previously in the past. The languages I'm trying to learn is Spanish, Portuguese, and Japanese. But and the reason why I'm learning Japanese is because I watch a lot of Japanese media, and I want to be able to pronounce words like this. So yeah, Kabukicho. And speaking of which, one of these days in the future, I do want to do a Japanese language learning stream, as well as Spanish learning language stream one of these days. I want to do those streams in the future. Learning Spanish and Japanese on stream in the future. I think it'd be fun, and maybe you guys could help me learn some words and learn how to pronounce words.
Means that it's not just one random scummy club that you had the misfortune of going to for that one night, but a whole system of exploitation. And if it can be this sleazy, why do people go to them in the first place, right? And well, we kinda already answered that. But for the sake of learning, let me expand on it some more. Okay, fun fact. The biggest demographic of women that I found in my research for this topic that go to host clubs aren't forlorn housewives like you from earlier, or naive women who got rizzed up by these BTS looking dudes, but rather women already working in the nightlife industry themselves. And don't take it from me, take it from the people that actually work at the host clubs.
まあ、もし僕のお客さんやったら僕のお客さんは僕を中心に生きてるんですよ。だからお金を作ってくるようなその動きっていうのは全てその風俗で働いたりする全て僕のためにやってるんですよ。だからまあ僕に会いたい、僕のためにやり。
Which is kind of messed up because really they're just. It's really messed up that these women will go to the lengths just to see a guy like this. No offense to him. No offense to the guy. I'm just saying like. They do. It's just they do the extreme, just to all of it just go to their money go to this guy. And at the end of the day, what do they get out of it outside of emotional connection? It's just, to me, it's just like I don't think that's healthy. That's really just not healthy. It's not healthy for your mental. It's not healthy for your emotional well-being, even your physical, because like. You don't know what you're gonna catch, doing stuff like that, and I just think that's very, unfortunate that these women have to go to these lengths.
こうしてあげたいがためにそういう仕事をしてこう会いに来るっていう。で僕に、会えるだけでも幸せ癒される。
Now, if you didn't know any better, it can seem like a super roundabout thing. Women who work adult nightlife industry go to other nightlife industry to feel relief. But to give you guys perspective, here's a quote from a newsletter from the University of Leiden in the Netherlands in an article about host clubs. Quote, "For women, particularly those in the adult entertainment industry, being given a blanket so people can't peek at your underwear is likely to mean a lot to a woman who has spent the evening with a businessman's hand on her thigh. People want what they can't have. A divorced mother goes to a host club to get the attention of younger men to remind her that she still got it. A Japanese salaryman goes to a hostess club to tell himself that women still desire him and that he's as masculine as any other dude. A Japanese woman of the night who's so used to the dirty leering and roughness of her job wants something more slower and personal." Now, this isn't to say host clubs are like...
True. True. For the women that are divorced, they want a young man that can see her past her, her age. They can see that she's, as beautiful as she's supposed to be. And for the men, it's like maybe these men are trying to escape from their home life, the home life, their wives. Maybe they're trying to escape from their home lives. Maybe their wives aren't getting enough attention and they want attention from somewhere else. That could be the case. And for the other, for the women that work in, that type of industry, maybe they just want someone that's more tender to them, that doesn't see them as just like flesh and bones, I guess you could start to speak. It's just, they see past that. They see in them per se, like they see them as a person, whereas not something that can be used. If that makes sense. That's the way I see it. It's like that group is more so like they're so used to men using their bodies, whereas now a man is not using her body. He's becoming more, the emotional connection of like being seen and being heard. I think all this plays to like the emotional side, like, and generally it all boils down to everyone just trying to find some sense of love and appreciation. That where they tend to not get it anywhere else.
the mecca of sincerity and genuineness. Their job is to wring as much money as they can out of you through marked up drink prices. And it was pretty disgusting to hear the callousness from the hosts in the documentary that you see on screen. These guys pretty much just say, yeah, these women are kinda emotionally messed up, and spending so much at a host club is...
I mean, yeah, they are, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's some point in some form they are don't have the best mental health. And if you don't have the best mental health, I don't think you going to a host club or a hostess club is the place you want to be at. Because that's where you can definitely take advantage of people. I think that's where the most people could be taken very advantage of.
probably not helping their situation as women of the night. But I look good doing it though, and I'm fucking rich. But I hope it does give you some idea on why some people would go to these clubs in the first place. It's basically just a commodified form of love with its sole focus on you. And when you're love struck or love starved, the smallest amount of attention can be the source of brand new obsession. But even though host clubs are a very controversial thing, and there's a lot to say about the emotional exploitation that goes on in those kinds of places, they actually have huge representation in anime and manga. I'm not joking when I say that there are plenty of anime plotlines that are either about host clubs directly or have their characters working in a host type situation, to the point where you have most definitely seen a host club way before this video.
Since you have no money, you can pay with your body. That means starting today, you're the host club's dog.
So you would think that an adult-ish industry like host or hostess clubs wouldn't have a lot of representation.
You know, I watched this anime years ago, but I never like really. See, I didn't understand the nuance back then. Now I was like, okay, I get it now. I understand this anime now as I'm older. As an older, as I got older, I understand this anime. But just back then, when I first watched it, I was like, I just thought it was a cute, fun anime. But I didn't think of, like I said, the nuances behind the anime. But now I get it now. I kind of get it. It's, go watch Oran Host Club. It's really good anime. Really good. Really good anime. Go check it out. It's an older anime, but it's really good. Go, definitely go check out Oran Host Club.
Representation in anime and manga, but you'd be wrong. It's actually a fairly common narrative and character trope, and even though we've established that this industry does have a dark side to it, most often than not in Japanese media, whenever a character works at a host or hostess club, it's treated more like a gag than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. That's how it's portrayed in anime.
I'm not joking when I say it's a super common trope in anime and manga to have the MC's mom be super hot and
Yeah, like I don't think every single anime is like that, but the ones that do, it's like the mom is the hot one and she works at a host club. And usually she's a single mother. That's another thing. You know what's also interesting too? Especially in J dramas. I noticed this. It's the moms. Like, why is the moms in some J dramas are like mostly disattached to their children? It's like they don't care what It's like it's like they would be better off doing something else than to deal with their children and their children's problems and stuff. I noticed that in J dramas. I'm not saying this is like something that just happens in J dramas, but it's like something I noticed. Like it's like that trope where it's like the mom just like she just isn't emotionally there. She's physically there, but she's not emotionally there. She's like in her own space, her own world. Like she just does her own thing, and like the kid just basically fends for himself. It's like in some way neglecting the child. I don't know. It's just something I noticed in J dramas. Like some J dramas are like that. Maybe some K dramas too. Maybe some K dramas as well. But I noticed that in K dramas. Not K dramas, J dramas. But like I said, I mean, there are probably also some K dramas too, and probably some other, in the West, like Western shows, TV shows too. But I noticed that in some J dramas, like how some of the moms are portrayed, and also the dads. Sometimes the dads are douches. I'm sorry. Like some of the dads are abusive. I don't know what's up with that. Like the moms are, I mean the moms can be I guess abusive, but it mostly is like neglect, and the dads are usually abusive. I don't know why. That's a thing. I don't know. Let me know like why some of the the parents are written like that in like you know Japanese and Korean media. But back to the back to the anime side of things. Yeah, the moms are usually written like this. They're usually written like this, and they're always single mothers. That's the thing that I caught on. Like you never see a married woman in an anime work as a host club. No, hostess clubs because they're women. You always see the single mom working as a hostess. Never a married woman. Usually, if she's a married woman, she's at home. She's a single mother. If they okay, in an anime, if they ever have the parents in the house, usually the mom is a housewife, stay at home mom, and the dad's working, and he comes home too. He comes home, or sometimes the mom is a businesswoman. She has her own business, or the parents have their own business and they work together, something like that. But if not, if it's just a single parent, the dad works, he still provides, and the mom works and she still provides. But usually, it let's say 8 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10, she's gonna be a hostess like this.
Everyone is surprised when they find out that they work at a hostess club. Again, if you go out and search for it, you will find this trope. But as for specific anime examples, obviously you got shows like Ouran High School Host Club.
Really good anime. Go check it out. Yeah, it's old. Like this is old. Like '06. Yeah, that's '06, '08. Yeah, that's an old anime. Very old. So now as I'm older, okay, I kind of got the nuances now, but back then I didn't really understand what was going on. And I just liked it because I thought it was funny.
Which, alongside a mortal reminder of how old I'm getting, is a very sanitized take.
Hey man, we're all getting older. I'm not gonna lie to you. We're all getting older. You're not the only one.
Take on the whole host club industry. The main character actually owes a debt to her school's host club, which she has to work off by.
If I'm not mistaken, for the people who probably never watched this might be a spoiler. But if I'm not mistaken, the only reason why she owes a debt because she broke a vase, right? By accident. I think she broke a vase. If I'm not mistaken. I think that's the reason why she owes a debt.
Working at the host club itself. And that's about it in terms of the anime acknowledging the exploitation that the host club industry has. It's more of a comedic take on being at a host club. But comedy doesn't sell on YouTube, negativity does. I need a negative slant for this video so it does well in the algorithm, and so that live streamers have something to react to because of how shocking it is. So, to bring the mood down, and my algorithm numbers up, another piece of media that deals with the host club industry is the anthology manga, Tomorrow I'll Be Someone's Girlfriend. I technically already mentioned this in my JIK video, but I didn't really get to go too deep into it. It's an anthology manga, so it doesn't really focus on one character for too long, but one of the characters that the manga does focus on is on the girl by the name of Yua. She's a runaway kid that works at a hostess bar in Kabukicho, which is the notorious red light district.
Kabukicho. Okay. Kabukicho. Guys, I'm gonna get it right. Kabukicho.
In Tokyo. And through her eyes, you get to see just how exploitative the host club industry is. And as someone who had to go through the manga again for this video, it was pretty surreal seeing.
I'm definitely gonna read this manga. I'll have to like write this down when I'm done with this video and check it out because I love reading manga and I love a good story, so I'm definitely gonna check this out.
Some of the more borderline scammy practices that I've had to read about happen on paper. You can tell that the mangaka probably had a lot of experience themselves when it came to host clubs. For example, there's a character named Moe-chan that follows Yua to these host clubs. And while Moe-chan initially is very much not interested in the guys there. Eventually, there is one that piques her interest, a host by the name of Kaede. And here you get to see Moe-chan's descent into obsession. It starts off with a simple meet cute. They like each other's company, they're vibing with each other, only for Kaede having to leave Moe-chan to entertain a different client. Suddenly, Moe-chan is worried, because the one dude that made her feel special and that she thinks she sees something in her is now seeing someone else.
But okay, that's a good point. It's a good point because like, what do the women do when they see their favorite host engaging in that conversation with other women? How do they feel? Like at the end of the day, because like you do realize you're not the only woman he's telling all these things to. You that's the thing. Like you gotta realize that's part of their job. They're selling you a dream, so to speak. So it's like, how do you process that? Like knowing that you're not the special woman you think you are. Really, truly, you're. I mean, I hate to say you're not, because clearly he's telling that to every single other woman, and this could apply to men as well. You're not the only man she sees every day, every hour, every second, every minute. So, how do the people that go to these things? How do they process that, knowing that they're not the only one? There's nothing special to you. Deep down, you really gotta realize there's really nothing special to you, because the same thing he's telling you, the same thing she's telling you, she's telling the next person, and the next person, and the next person. So I genuinely want to know, like, how does someone handle that, so to speak?
And with Moe-chan having her own insecurities as a woman, she starts to crave the attention and affirmations that Kaede gives her. And you might say that
Yeah, but he's also doing the same thing to other women. That's the thing, like, the same affirmations, the same words, the same speeches, the same attention that you crave, he's giving to other women. Like, I'm pretty sure this guy has a whole script memorized. Like, he knows how to play it. It's just, it's just something to think about.
she caught feelings fairly fast here. But the thing is, one, I'm not trying to spoil major plot points because this manga is well worth your time reading. And two, remember what I said
I will definitely read it. Definitely read it.
about people going to host clubs to be reaffirmed of their own feminineness? Moe-chan wants Kaede to reaffirm hers. When she finds someone that sees her beyond her looks, she wants more. And to do this, she starts ordering more expensive alcohol. And she's even willing to lie to her own parents to cover the cost, saying to them that she needs more money for college. She even thinks of getting another temp job on top of the one that she already has. But none of this dissuades her from wanting to see Kaede and wanting to prove her love to him and to gain his attention. And ultimately, with costs from nightly visits mounting and money steadily decreasing, Moe-chan eventually takes on a job as an escort to cover the costs of the love she thinks she's getting. And
that is the pitfall you shouldn't do. You should go into. That is the thing that worries me, especially when it comes to women. And it, in a sense, kind of breaks my heart, because I don't think any woman should ever truly fall this low in life for something that on the outside is just foolishness. But I understand what she wants. She craves the emotion. She craves the emotional aspect. But I don't think no woman should ever fall that deep into this rabbit hole of having to sell your body for some guy that, again, is telling that to every other woman. I don't think you should fall for that. I really don't. I just don't think you so.
hope I did her story arc justice to this small description, because her story was really fucking sad. It's paced in such a way that there's a feeling of rising dread as you see her sinking deeper into obsession, and you, the reader, can already tell where it's gonna go, so you feel helpless as Moe-chan takes more and more drastic measures to get validation from this random guy. Seeing her go from insecure but at least surrounded by friends that genuinely care for her,
Yeah, that's all she needs. She just needs her friends that really genuinely care, want to be there for her, versus a guy that doesn't. All he sees is money. All he sees is getting money out of her. Like that's the thing. That's how that's yeah. Like it's just unfortunate.
to still insecure, but now working as an escort standing alone in the crowded Tokyo street as she waits her first client is very striking imagery. But I don't want to be reductive and end this video with me going, and this is why everyone in Japan is lonely and miserable. Because
I'm gonna read this out. I'm not calling this specific YouTuber out or anything. It's just that making videos about Japan's social problems is a very easy thing to do. You can find them all over YouTube. Yeah, you can find videos like this all over YouTube. And while Japan does have its own problems, it's always important to not generalize and try to find nuance in things. True. 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 I mean, everyone has problems in their own society, not just Japan, but we're just what are we? We're just. I'm assuming you're not from Japan. Muex. I'm calling you Muex. I don't think you're a Japanese citizen or anything, but I'll say we're just gaijins. At the end of the day, we're just gaijins looking on that from the outside looking in. So that's just what it is.
that's not the point. There are people that go to host clubs purely for the fun of it and aren't constantly being manipulated. Again, the people that work at these places aren't some Sigma-brained master manipulator. I just think it's the same thing.
True. I mean, like I said, I don't think that applies to every single one of them, but there probably are a few that are. There probably are a few that are like that. Again, that don't apply to every single one of them, but I think they got a few like that. And yeah, the whole comparison of streamers, that's a good comparison. But to top it off, at least you get to be with the person. You get to see the person face to face and be able to touch them and stuff. But that's still a good comparison.
As when people rely on streamers and influencers as their only social outlet. These kinds of clubs don't need everyone who walks through their doors to be lonely people looking for company and affirmations. They just need the few. In the same way that streamers don't need everyone who watches them to donate, but only need the few who can consistently. And while for most people it is just harmless fun, for the small few others, it can be something a lot harder to walk away from. Because the moment you start depending on something artificial to feel real, that's when it stops being a choice. It's no longer about how you can live with your loneliness, but if you can live with yourself, going back to it.
That was Muex Dotas, if I'm pronouncing that right. Why Japan exploits these girls, a dangerous industry. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about this topic. I think it's an interesting topic. I think this is an interesting video. I think this is something worth talking about and worth discussing. Understanding hostess and host clubs, understanding their roles, understanding the people that attend these types of clubs, and their roles and how this can affect someone's life generally. My opinion on it is that I think I'm not gonna say it's bad. I'm not gonna say host clubs or hostess clubs are bad per se. I don't think they're bad. I just think that the way I see them is the people he mentioned. I think that usually, for a hostess club, you would see like salary men, middle-aged men go there. I'm assuming those type of men, or men that are married, men with kids, that are married, or men that's divorced with kids. I just don't see a young man going to, like, a man in his 20s, 30s going to these type of things unless his job forced him to go like on a Friday night. His boss, coworkers, they gotta go out to drink. I think that's I forgot what it's called. Like in Japanese society, Japanese culture, where you have to like go out and drink with your coworkers and boss. So I could see something like that. But if not, then I mean, again with the men, I think it's like you escaping home. Like I know that some I don't know. I mean, this could apply to anybody really. I don't. I mean, it could apply anywhere in the world, but I know in Japan it's kind of I wouldn't say a big thing, but it's like married men really don't like their wives for some reason. I don't know what it is. Like I never understood that. Again, it doesn't just apply to Japan. It just applies to everyone around the world. Like, how can you not like your wife? I mean, you married this woman, okay? I guess maybe she changed for the worse. I'm assuming, but I mean, not everyone's marriage is the same. Not everyone, but I'm just saying, like, in general, like, how can you not love your wife? You know. So I just think that that's the kind of men that go to these types of things. And for the host, the host clubs for the women's side of things, yeah, could be single, older women, mature women that are divorced. They're looking for young men to talk to, and these are women, night workers, those type of women that are looking for someone that sees them more than what they're good at per se. What more than just their body per se. And again, all this boils down to emotional. This is all the emotional aspect. This is more so feeding into you wanting to feel good about yourself. Personally, I think you would be better off going to a therapist because at least you're getting the help you need. But I guess, people also want the companionship side of things. But with that said, I mean, the people that are the most vulnerable, I think, you know, I say this: if your mental health isn't in the right place, I don't think you should go to a host club. I don't think your mental health is deteriorating. You should go here because I think that's where, Mulex said. I mean, he don't think they're all Giga Sigma manipulators. I don't think either, but I think a few, maybe 1 out of 4 per se, is like that. If I'm getting like good statistics, I can't I can't say much about for like hostess, like how that if there's like because I mean, what can the women do for the men? Like exactly, they can't like drag them into like nightlife, but they can extract more from them. I guess you could say, so to speak, extract more like money. But yeah, I think that it's not inherently bad or inherently evil. It's more so neutral, I would say. I just think that you have to be like a very strong-willed person to attend these things. That's just how I see it. But let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this topic. Let me know what you think about this video. Let's have a conversation in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about hostess and host clubs. What are your opinion on hostess and host clubs? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? Do you think they're neutral? Do you think they're beneficial to Japanese society? Um, like I said, I'll say this. Like I said about the winter girlfriend thing, I think this is no different than also like you paying for a winter girlfriend, or I guess they have winter boyfriends too. This is like no different than that, because with that I mean, we talked about that, which we haven't dive into like the whole, the idea of you spending absurd amount of money on a person. I never dive into that topic, but I've always said like, maybe this is good for like learning how to talk to people. So I guess in a sense, I can't speak on women per se, but if you're a man and you're going to hostess clubs, I think The only way I can see maybe that's good and beneficial is you going there and learning how to talk to women. Maybe you talk to the women and you know ask questions or something. Maybe you get opinions on things. Like women know women know women more than anyone than men probably know women. You know, so to speak. I mean, yeah, there's some guys that can understand the female psyche, but to attend, but also women know women too. They're women. They're around women every day. So why not? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe that's the only way I could see as a man you going there is like to pick up game per se. Like you going to learn game for other women. Like you picking up tips and tricks, like, and maybe that could better you in the future. That could make you a better man. Maybe that you can secure you actual dates and get you a girlfriend and wife. I don't know. I'm just saying like that's the only way I can rationalize that. If that makes sense, that's the only way I can generally rationalize going to a hostess club. But again, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this topic. Let me know what you how you feel. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.